Good morning. Welcome to the public board meeting of September 24th, 2025. I would like to call the meeting to order at 10 o'clock. Before we move to the land acknowledgement from Trustee Marie Elliott, I would like to acknowledge that it is this board's final meeting of the year. Several of us will not be returning. Myself, Trustee Dwyer, Trustee Pequin, Trustee Murray Elliott. Ironically, it's the four of us who've been on the board the longest, 8 years now. 7 years for Trustee Murray Elliott, I believe. And I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the end of a long journey. We started this adventure with controversy over gender-neutral washrooms and a 33-page list of deficiencies at Sturgeon Comp. We have seen a change in government, change in funding formula, change in curriculum. We have welcomed an entirely new school to our division in Morinville. We have had a rebuild at Camilla. We have many things that we worked on that are still in the future to be realized. But as we say goodbye to trusteeship and to the work that we've done, I felt it was important to acknowledge that it has been a journey, and that as we are at the end of it, I would like to acknowledge my appreciation to not just the fellow trustees here at the table, but to our administrative staff and our superintendent. Trustee Murray Elliott, would you like to provide the land acknowledgement, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. And you forgot to mention that we all lived through COVID.
Oh, yeah, global pandemic. I don't know how I forgot that one.
Okay. I acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis, traditional land of many Indigenous people for countless generations, the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, Nakota Sioux, and Michelle First Nation. Land I am now grateful to call home. I believe it is our responsibility to respect, care for, and share the land that supports us, to work with nature to sustain its inhabitants, people, animals, and plant life, and to preserve its physical beauty.
Thank you. I am asking now for an approval of the agenda. Trustee Buga?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. Approval of the minutes. Any errors, omissions? Would somebody like to approve the minutes? Trustee Buga?
I move to approve the minutes of our board meeting held on October 27th, 2025.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. Business arising from the minutes, none. Presentations, delegations, seeing none. We will move directly into action items 7.1. I have it at the end. Action item 7.1, 26-27 school year calendar amendment. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. So administration, we are bringing back to the board the 26-27 school year calendar, as we would like to amend the opening of the school offices on this calendar, which was already approved. So we received, this is based on feedback from our office staff and our school administrators from this year from our startup, and we propose the following changes. So on August 19th, 2026, the school offices would opening would move to August 21st. This will allow office staff to take necessary refresher training and preparation on August 19th and 20th. Then principals would be present in the schools on the first day that the offices are open to the public on August 21st. Often our office staff require information or approval of items from their principals. So the feedback was that it was very valuable if the principals were in the schools once they opened. This will still allow families ample time to work with schools prior to the first day of schools for students on August 31st, 2026. And administration is prepared to answer any questions.
Questions regarding materials presented? Trustee Buca?
Thank you, Chair. Not so much a question, just appreciation that we try to plan ahead by approving these calendars well in advance. But the acknowledgement that when our staff or our stakeholders, our families see something that's not working, that we are flexible enough to hear that and make the changes as quickly as possible. So just an appreciation of that flexibility within our processes.
I'd like to call for the motion now. Ready? Trustee Murray Elliott,
I move that the Board of Trustees approve an amendment to the 2026-2027 school year calendar as presented at the September 24th, 2025 public board meeting.
would anybody like to speak for or against the motion? Seeing none, I call the question that the Board of Trustees approve an amendment to the 26-27 school year calendar as presented at the September 24th, 2025 public board meeting. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Seven point two, draft 2027-2028 school year calendar. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. This is annually. This is when the calendar does come forward, and this is a approval in principle only. So once approved in principle, the calendar will be brought to our admin council, to school councils, and to families and staff for feedback. And that feedback will be collected between now and the end of January 2026. We will pose a couple questions as we do each year when the calendar goes out. One question will be, would you prefer a Christmas break to begin on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2025 and end on Tuesday, January 4th, 2026? So this is a question the board had asked in previous years, wondering, does it always have to end, start on a Friday and come back on a Monday? So this would be a midweek. So this will be asking if this would be of interest, if people were interested in that. Once the feedback has been compiled, any revisions will be brought back to the Board of Trustees for review and final approval in March 2026. A couple of highlights on this draft calendar. The opening of the school offices aligns with our request for this coming school year, 26-27. There is one additional day of instruction due to it being a leap year. January 28th is currently scheduled to be the last day of exams. And June 28th is currently scheduled to be the last day of exams at the end of the year. Again, administration is prepared to answer any questions.
Questions for clarification. Trustee Gibbons.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering, because I noticed that January of 2028, January 1st, which is a stat holiday, falls onto a Saturday. So would that therefore mean that the 3rd is a statutory holiday, which isn't reflected in the budget?
No, and we have had many years when we're back on the 3rd because it does fall there with the 2nd. If the 1st was on the Sunday, then you'd have the Monday. That is, we run it that way when we have been back that early in the past.
Okay, thank you.
So just for clarification, when is the stat for January 1st?
The 1st is the stat, and there's a day after. So we can double check that. I'll make sure that we have not misspoken anyway. But again, I'll double check. This is the draft calendar.
Okay.
But
Okay.
because it is on the Saturday, that is the additional day.
Okay. I'd like to ask for a motion. Trustee Buga,
I move that the Board of Trustees approve in principle the draft 2027-2028 school year calendar that as presented at September 24th, 2025 public board meeting, and further direct administration to circulate the draft 2027 to 2028 school year calendar for feedback as outlined in AP 235.
would anybody like to speak for or against the motion? Then I call the question that the Board of Trustees approve in principle the draft 2027-2028 school year calendar as presented at the September 24th, 2025 public board meeting, and further direct administration to circulate the draft 2027-2028 school year calendar for feedback as outlined in AP 235. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Policy 2, role of the board. No, sorry, my bad. 7.3 joint use and planning agreement, Town of Morinville, Jupa. Superintendent Warren.
Thanks, Chair, and I will turn this over to the Associate Superintendent, Corporate Services.
Thank you, Superintendent. Sean Nicholson, Associate Superintendent, Corporate Services. As per our regulation, to establish joint use and planning agreements with our local municipalities. This agreement is being brought forward after multiple reviews. It's been brought forward to the board a few previous times, and this is the finalized agreement. Both the municipality and G-Sacred have already approved this agreement, so it is brought before the board to approve it as well. Are there any questions?
Seeing no questions, can I ask for a motion? Trustee Buga,
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the joint use and planning agreement, Town of Morinville Joint Use and Planning Agreement, JUPA, as presented at the public board meetings of September 24th, 2025.
would anybody like to speak for or against? Trustee Buga.
I would like to speak in favor of this. I know that this has been an ongoing kind of back and forth with the tri-party agreement that hasn't existed before in the town of Morinville. So I appreciate the work that has been done to get to this point, and it looks like a fair agreement. And so thank you for that work.
Anybody else? Trustee Mary Elliott.
Yes, I just want to echo a thanks to all of the trustees and staff. I know it's been an awful lot of work. Really appreciate everything that went into it. I think we have a good document. It took a long time, so thanks very much.
Seeing no further hands up, I will call the question that the Board of Trustees approve the joint use and planning agreement, Town of Morinville Joint Use and Planning Agreement, JUPA, as presented at the public board meeting of September 4th, 2025. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we're on to 7.4, Policy 2, role of the board. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. So the board has done a lot of work looking at policies, and the board decided quite some time ago now to adopt the GTEC model, which is adopted by many school boards in the province. And the GTEC model gets down to more of a manageable number of policies, so they can be reviewed annually, all of them, which is the goal. And so all of the policies that are coming through, the board has done a lot of work on, and compared to other boards around the province, and to ensure that it follows all legislation requirements. So the first one up is the role of the board. And again, this is up for approval if the board accepts this new policy.
Trustee Murray Elliott.
Yeah, thank you. And this isn't specifically about this policy, but I would just like to comment, and I know we have a number of potential new trustees and new trustees. Welcome and congratulations and good luck. But in going through this particular document, I realized that when you look at number 42, it says annually evaluate the superintendent in accordance with pre-established performance appraisal. But I find that this is kind of in conflict with another policy we have, which is the superintendent policy and the timing of evaluations and that sort of thing, which talks about contracts and letters given and whatnot. And unfortunately, recently we missed an evaluation because there was some confusion here. So just a recommendation from the old board to the new that you might want to clarify and simplify and make sure that all of the policies are on point with each other so that you don't have that miscommunication and problems arising from it.
Thank you. Can I ask for a motion, please? Trustee Pequin?
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommended revisions to Board Policy 2, Role of the Board, as presented at the September 24th, 2025 Public Board meeting.
Would anybody like to speak for or against Trustee Pequin?
I will speak for this motion. We, as a policy committee, as a board, during our committee of the wholes, for the last year have really dug deep into all of our policies, trying to get them into the GTEC model. All trustees have had ample opportunity to provide feedback, to recommend wording, to make sure that it fits with what they think the policy should be. So this is after significant work that these policies are coming to the board today, where we all have had a chance to talk about it, to refine them, to compare across the province, to do the work that needs to be done to get these policies to where we think they should be.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none, I will call the question that the Board of Trustees approve the recommended revisions to Board Policy 2, Role of the Board, as presented at the September 24th, 2025 Public Board meeting. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Policy 3, Role of the Trustee. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. So again, I will just piggyback on Trustee Pequin's comments. The board has done a lot of work in policies and looking at them. So role of trustee, this is a policy that has been now been reviewed by the board. And so the policy now affirms that the board acts as a corporate body. Trustees hold no independent authority outside duly constituted board decisions, and it outlines expectations for attendance, participation, and ongoing professional learning. Then the obligation to be knowledgeable in the Education Act, board policies, to support corporate decisions, etc. And again, this is brought forward for the board's consideration.
Questions for clarification? I'd like to call for a motion at this time. Trustee Buga.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommended revisions to Board Policy 3, Role of the Trustee, as presented at the September 24th, 2025 Public Board meeting.
Would anybody like to speak for or against the motion? Trustee Buga.
I'd like to speak in support of this motion, specifically the additional clarification in this document or in this policy. I know that when I began my term as trustee 4 years ago, I really did not understand what the role was going to be. And I feel that a robust policy like the one we have now, or this one that is being brought forward for a vote, would really have clarified a lot of information and expectations of a trustee. So I'm really happy to be putting this forward to support a new board as they come into their new term.
Anybody else? Then I will call the question that the Board of Trustees approve the recommended revisions to Board Policy 3, Role of the Trustee, as presented at the September 24th, 2025 Public Board meeting. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Policy 4, trustee code of conduct. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. As per section 33 1K of the Education Act, all boards must develop and implement a code of conduct that applies to trustees of the board, including definitions of breaches and sanctions. This policy, this board has done a lot of work on it, on the board and its appendices, to ensure that it follows all legislative requirements. And we also cross-reference with Bill 51, because the Education Act has not been updated to include that wording yet. But in Bill 51, we have captured to make sure that we're following that new legislation, which will be added to Section 33 of the Education Act, and that is the following: that no board shall, in a code of conduct developed and implemented under subsection 1K, include as a sanction that may be imposed by the board for a breach of code, disqualification of a person remaining as a trustee of the board. So we ensured that all language in all policies and appendices also align with Bill 51.
Questions for clarification? Trustee Buka?
Thank you, Chair. I know that we've put a lot of work into this policy, but I'd just like to ask, with the very recent announcement of those mandate letters to the education minister, it appears that one of the mandates or one of the items listed is to create a universal code of conduct for boards. My assumption is that there will be no changes to this until something comes down into the Education Act or into a ministerial order, correct?
Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Vice Chair Buga. Yes, you are correct. So at this time, it is a statement in her mandate letter. So if that ever does make its way into legislation, and that could be province-wide, then the new board will have to review this policy to ensure that it aligns with it.
Okay, can I ask for a motion, please? Yeah, do you need clarification? Then we ask for the motion first, and then I open it. Trustee Pequin.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the recommended revisions to Board Policy 4, Trustee Code of Conduct, and its associated appendices as presented at the September 24th, 2025 Public Board meeting.
Now I will ask if there are trustees who would like to speak for or against the motion. Trustee Dwyer.
Thanks, Chair. This is a real tough one for me, and I'm not going to argue the wording. I'm going to argue it in principle. There we go. We'll try again. This is a policy that, in my mind, should be hidden down in some basement in some safe until really needed. And what I mean by that is, if there's a problem with code of conduct, there's a whole process of good conversation amongst the board and the people that are involved. And the last year and a half, this board has been drawn down so badly in this context.
Point of order. I don't think we need to.
We cannot discuss
Well, I'm going to
the
say,
events of the last year and a half. Trustee Dwyer, choose your words.
I will choose my words, because the words haven't been chosen well against me and others on this board. And it's almost like a kangaroo court.
Trustee
Point of
Dwyer.
order. I think we need to go in camera.
Yes.
No,
Can I have a
I'm
motion
good.
to go in camera then?
I'm not going to hide this board's.
All in favor of going in camera? All opposed? We will be going in camera. Vote is 4-2 for Tasha, Janine, Irene, Stacy, against trustees Joe and Trish. Thank you for your patience. We have a motion on the floor that the Board of Trustees approve the recommended revisions to Board Policy 4 Trustee Code of Conduct and its associated appendices as presented at the September 24th, 2025 public board meeting. Would anybody like to speak for or against it? Trustee Murray Elliott?
I think I'm going to vote against this, and I'll give you my reasoning. This is a tough decision, but we have to be very careful that this code of conduct is not ever used to or weaponized to use against a trustee. So I had previously, we had discussed about the wording of it, and in number 11, violation of code of conduct, it says trustees are encouraged to pursue conciliatory measures, and but that is not mandatory. And the only thing I can think that might improve this is if we made this conciliatory measures mandatory. I believe that among reasonable individuals, that would always result in well, most of the time at least, result in things not progressing. So that is the change I would like to see. The board has decided in our previous discussions that they did not feel as strongly about that, and so that is why I'm going to vote against this motion.
Would anybody else like to speak for or against? Trustee Dwyer?
I'll be voting no. And I'll end my discussion here, but I will tell you that it needs to be followed. This is a policy that needs to be followed in the future. And anyways, I'll leave it at that.
Anybody else like to speak? Trustee Buga?
I'm going to speak for it. This is laid out in the Education Act that all boards must develop and implement a code of conduct that applies to trustees of the board, including definitions of breaches and sanctions. This is important to have as a backstop. We have our code of ethics that we all agree to when we become trustees. We have our oath of office. We have our policies of role of the board, role of the trustee, role of the chair, role of the vice chair. We've got a lot, and we have a handbook that kind of guides our work and our expectations. And I feel like this is an important backstop. We want to make sure that the division and the board is protected. We're going to have potentially 7 new people sitting around the table, and we want to make sure that our board and our students have strong leadership and having strong policies. Hopefully we never have to use them, but they need to be in place. And I feel like this is it's well worded, and it offers enough flexibility that hopefully we can solve all problems without having to go to code of conduct and use this policy, but it absolutely needs to exist. So I will be voting in favor of this.
I will also be voting in favor of this policy. I feel that it has been something that's sorely lacking in our previous set of policies. I would like to speak to Trustee Murray Elliott's point 11. I believe that needs to remain as a may rather than a shall, because we have always got to be prepared for a variety of degrees of infraction. While some may be resolved through informal methods, particularly egregious infractions likely shouldn't be. So by leaving it with a little bit of ambiguity, I think we are accounting for degrees of infraction. Would anybody like to else speak for or against? Then I call the question that the Board of Trustees approve the recommended revisions to Board Policy 4 Trustee Code of Conduct and its associated appendices as presented at the September 24th, 2025 public board meeting. All in favor? All opposed? Passed by a vote of 4-2. Members trustees Pequin, Gibbons, Buga, Otway McClay. Against, trustees Murray Elliott, trustee Dwyer. Policy 5, role of the chair. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. So again, in moving to the GTEC model, and the board had requested that the role of the board chair be looked at and reviewed and pulled out on its own. So this policy again has had extensive review, and it is to ensure clarity and alignment with the Education Act, any board procedures, regulation, best practices, and governance. And again, this is up to the board, but this has been worked on quite a bit.
Any questions for clarification? Then I would ask for a motion at this time. Trustee Murray Elliott.
I move that the Board of Trustees approve Policy 5, role of the chair as presented with an amendment being point 11. Do I discuss that now?
I would ask you for the amendment.
The amendment being to reverse the order of the statement to read, encourage cooperation, respect, and unity among board members and address inappropriate behavior by trustees when it impairs board effectiveness.
Would anybody have any questions for clarification regarding the amendment? Then we will vote on the amendment presented. Trustee Murray Elliott.
Can I speak to the amendment presented?
Oh, absolutely. You can speak to it.
Well, I speak for the amendment because the first part of that sentence was not even in the role of the chair previously. And I think that is a very important duty in the role of the chair is to encourage cooperation, respect, and unity among board members. I have requested that they be switched because in previous discussions, we had talked about the importance of having the positive before the negative. Even in upcoming policies, you'll see it worded differently. So that is why I am presenting this amendment.
Would anybody else like to speak for or against the amendment? Then we will vote on the amendment. That role of the chair, point 11, read, encourage cooperation, respect, and unity among board members and address inappropriate behavior by trustees when it impairs board effectiveness. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we will vote on the amended policy. Would anybody like an opportunity to speak for or against the amended policy? I actually will speak for it. This is a new policy that didn't exist prior, as is the next policy we'll be discussing, the role of the vice chair. Having had the opportunity to sit in the chair's seat for a year, I feel that this adds clarity, direction from the board, and I think that going forward, it's going to assist any future members who choose to sit in this chair. So I will vote in favor. Anybody else would like to speak for or against? Then I call the question that the Board of Trustees approve the newly developed Board Policy 5, role of the chair as amended at the September 23rd, 2025 public board meeting. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Oh, okay. 24. It's the September 24th, 2025 public board meeting for clarification for the minutes. For policy 6, role of the vice chair. Superintendent Warren.
Again, this policy, it was a new one too that the board has worked on to clearly define the role of the vice chair. And so the board has worked extensively in this, and it's up for the board's consideration today.
Questions for clarification regarding policy 6? Can I ask for a motion, please? Trustee Gibbons,
Make the motion that the Board of Trustees approve the newly developed Board Policy 6, role of the Vice Chair, as presented at the September 24th, 2025 Public Board meeting.
would anybody like to speak for or against the motion? Then Trustee Buga,
Sure.
Justin is.
Since I'm sitting in the chair right now, or the role of vice chair right now, I'll speak for this. We previously had the roles kind of sitting in a policy that was part of role of the board. Having it separate, I think, just defines and highlights the importance of the role that you take when you take on vice chair role. It's not just back up to the chair. There are expectations, and I think having it in policy to show that will just help clarify for whoever chooses to put their name forward next time. Thank you.
Then I will call the question that the Board of Trustees approve the newly developed Board Policy 6, role of the Vice Chair, as presented at the September 24th, 2025 Public Board meeting. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Policy 7.9, Policy 8, Board Committees. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. So this one is another one that the board has worked extensively on, and just a reminder that board committees, they establish the framework through which the board facilitates its work, and that can be via standing and or ad hoc committees, task groups, representatives, and other structures as required. While the committees, though, may be delegated responsibilities, all governance authority remains with the board. So committees enhance dialogue, explore issues in depth, and make recommendations for the board considerations, but decisions rest solely with the board. So again, this policy is being rewritten to clearly define the different committees, and again, it's for the board's consideration.
Questions for clarification regarding Policy 8? I'll call for a motion, please. Trustee Gibbons,
I make the motion that the Board of Trustees approve the revised Board Policy 8, Board of Committees, and its associated appendages. No, not appendages, appendices, as presented at the September 24, 2025 Public Board meeting.
would anybody like to speak in favor or against? Trustee Murray Elliott.
I speak in favor of this policy. Since coming on this board 6.5 years ago, 7, whatever it was, I have seen a big change in the committees and the way things are handled, and sometimes for the better and sometimes not. But I think a lot of work has gone into this, and this is mostly for the new board to try to help them start off with a good fresh start. Although I'm sure we're getting some great experience and knowledge coming in. So you might turn it all upside down, but just do whatever works for you. But I think this is a good policy.
Would anybody else like an opportunity to speak for or against? Trustee Gibbons.
I'm going to speak in favor of this motion, and I agree with Trustee Murray Elliott in that I think it's we generalized it enough for the new board coming in to be able to make it their own and create the committees and the timelines that will work best for who's coming in.
Trustee Buga.
Thank you, Chair. I will also speak in favor of this. I think the board committee's policy helps to really demonstrate the important work that we do and the amount of information that we actually sit through. I know that transparency is a key word, and not everything comes to public board meeting because we've sat through so much and guiding our administrative team to where the board wants to go, so that what is presented at a public board meeting is the intention of the board. And we kind of tell our division where we want to go, and we make sure that they are able to get us there. And I think that these committees really give us the opportunity to hammer out what it is the board wants to see, what our goals are, as the board are the ones that drive this division, or pardon me, at least navigate where we want to be while we let somebody else take the wheel. So I really like this policy and how it has left flexibility for a new board coming in, but keeping that importance and that space to really understand issues.
Trustee Pequin?
I'll speak in favor of it. I love that we've left Student Advisory Committee as one of the board members 7 years ago who's like, why don't we have this? It is absolutely vital to this board and to our division to get the student, the stakeholders, the whatever. So, I mean, there's some that are mandated, some that we have to have, but the Student Advisory Committee is definitely not a mandated, not a must, but it's super important. And I love that we've left it in there, and that's the expectation going forward, is so the new people sitting at this table can see just how amazing and valuable our students are, because going to those advisory committee meetings blows your mind every time in such a good way.
Seeing no other hands, I will call the question that the Board of Trustees approve the revised Board Policy 8 Board Committees and its associated appendices as presented at the September 24th, 2025 public board meeting. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Finally, 7.10, Policy 9, Policy Development. Superintendent Warren?
Thank you, Chair. So this policy has been revised. There was also an administrative procedure, which again, policies belong to the board. And so the recommendation to the board here is that the policy for policy development has now been updated to ensure that it actually runs through the process for which to get feedback on policies and for developing them, revising them, initiating to ensure that there is stakeholder input. So this draft version takes anything that was in the administrative procedure and puts it under policy, because policies belong to the board. And again, this is for board consideration.
Questions for clarification? I will call for a motion, please. Trustee Buga?
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the rewritten Board Policy 9 Policy Development as presented at the September 24th, 2025 public board meeting.
Would anybody like to speak for or against the motion? Trustee Buga?
I will speak for this this motion. I believe I'm very happy that our administration has moved policy development completely into a policy which is in the board's realm and taken it out of an AP, which is an administrative procedure, which we get to see, but we don't get to have a lot of input in. So I feel that this update, or pardon me, this rewrite is fantastic, and it supports board transparency and making sure that the board will always be in control of their policies.
Would anybody else like to speak for or against? And I call the question that the Board of Trustees approves the rewritten Board Policy 9 Policy Development as presented at the September 24th, 2025 public board meeting. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. 8.
No, 7.11. And motion for locally developed courses.
Oh. 7.11, combined motion for locally developed courses. Superintendent Warren?
Thank you, Chair. And we apologize for the confusion, but we always do what's best for kids. And so normally the board approves locally developed courses at a certain time of year. And this is a new development that has happened, and it was added to the public board meeting agenda. And with that, I will turn it over to the Deputy Superintendent.
Thank you, Superintendent and Chair. John Conrad, Deputy Superintendent. Yes, just to reassure you, this is new for us to see a motion like this in September. We always do this at the end of last year to make sure we're ready for this year. However, the guide for locally developed courses in Alberta has allowed an approval within September, it has to be September, to still be available within this year for students. And this came from students and teachers to us, to you. We have 6 students at the Learning Center that are working with a teacher there that are already involved in dance. And we saw this arrangement with some other school divisions that we could provide these locally developed courses under the supervision of our teacher in cooperation with the dance work they're already doing. And to do that, to get them credits, we do need, and so we are seeking through your approval, through motion, these locally developed courses to be offered within Sturgeon. The way that works is, should you approve, they will then be available for any of our high schools to use for the term or the length of the course approval from Alberta Education. So we're seeking your approval. It's coming out of student interest and teacher interest. Happy to take questions.
Questions? Trustee Buga?
Thank you, Chair. This is exciting. It's always nice to see, you know, our students are represented. When they ask for something, we do our best. Of course, every request can't be granted, but I'm happy to see that we have made this an opportunity. My question is just the years on the version where it's 23 to 27. Just curious about the backdating of what that means or why.
Thank you.
Yes.
To respond, the backdating actually represents the year that this course has been approved. So even though, unless we have made, I should check the memo again, and we can check that to ensure, but my understanding was it was the years that when you go to Alberta Education, you pull down this course, it provides those years. That's not something that we amend.
Trustee Buga?
In that vein, is there potential that would we just have to reapprove if we do want to continue this, or would they have to be reapproved through Alberta Education past that 27? Maybe this is too big of a question, sorry.
Deputy Superintendent?
Thank you. We are getting a little technical here, but if the expiry date as it is 2027, that is the drafting board has set that expiry, so they must review it and resubmit it to Alberta Education that, hey, we want this to go another 2 years, 5 years, whatever the boundary they set on it. But now, if it were to be approved by the board, it would become part of our annual review that we send to all high school principals to say, these are the ones that we currently have approved. Would you like us to continue to seek approval through board in the coming cycle?
I have a question, and this may be too deep down in the weeds, but I'm assuming, I heard you say we have an instructor, which great, but Learning Center, do we have space? Yes, Deputy Superintendent.
Thanks. Yeah, this is going to work, and this is a good promotion for Maddie's Dance Company in Redwater, because what it is, it's a partnership with a dance company. So they will be under the dance instruction of dance instructors, but they will be doing assessments and reporting under the supervision of our teacher from the Learning Center. So the dance isn't happening here in central office. I appreciate you thinking of that. It will be happening in a studio and under the direct, instruction of someone qualified in dance, but the assessment and the measures of outcomes will be under the certified teacher.
Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? Can I have a motion then, please? Trustee Marie Elliott?
I move that the Board of Trustees approve the following locally developed courses as courses of study within Sturgeon Public School Division from September 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2027, as listed on the agenda item 7.11.
Would anybody like to speak for or against? Trustee Pequin?
I'd speak in favor of this motion. I didn't even know it was Maddie's dance. That's exciting. We talk a lot about meeting our students where they're at or helping our students like get credits, or especially our high school students where they need. We talk about work experience. We talk about RAP programs. We talk about all of those things. And this is just another example of meeting our students where they're at, like helping them to get those high school credits and something they love, something they're passionate about because they're asking about it, right? So it's just another not budget line really way for us to help our students with these locally approved courses. I look forward to them in June. Now I'll look forward to them in September, and it's interesting to see the locally developed courses. So this is great for our students.
I would like to speak in favor of the motion as well. And more so to the administration who brought this forward, any administration who helped comb through our policies and to make sure that it could come forward to us today. And I know it was a little bit last moment, but I'm grateful that the work was put in to get it to us. So seeing no other, Trustee Murray Elliott.
I speak in favor of this motion. One thing this division does so well is offer opportunities to our students, and thank you to admin for all the hard work you do there to make that happen. And I'm especially happy to hear that this is happening in Redwater and giving those students extra opportunities as well. So I love it. Keep it up.
Trustee Dwyer.
How would this affect Four Winds with their dance?
Superintendent Warren.
This is high school programming only. So, and this is, again, as Mr. Conroy was saying, this is an opportunity where, yes, the teacher's marking their work, but it has a much more flexible way of how they're getting the experience and gaining in a studio. But this is for high school. These are high school courses.
Okay. Seeing no other hands, I will call the question that the Board of Trustees approve the following locally developed courses as courses of study within Sturgeon Public School Division from September 1st, 2025 to August 31st, 2027. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Now we are on to administrative reports. 8.1 Indigenous Student Success. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. So this report is being brought to the board as information, and I'm going to be turning it over to John Conrad, our Deputy Superintendent, along with Erin Murphy, who is our Director of Education, to walk through the report.
Thank you. Yep, John Conrad, Deputy Superintendent, excited to be part of bringing this report to the board and the public as information to really celebrate, highlight all of the amazing work that this team does within our schools, and all of our teachers and schools do, connected to community, connected to Indigenous parents and grandparents, community leaders, elders, and beyond. I don't want to speak to the specifics. Welcoming to this table, I want to welcome Erin Murphy, Director here with Education Services, and taking on keeping sure all of this is at the front of all of our minds. One of her portfolio asks is to work with Indigenous success for all students and for Indigenous students. And so we have asked her to come and speak directly to this report, which we started last year, I believe, and I am excited that we are continuing it. So really that was the tee up, and I'm hoping to hand this over to Erin.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be able to be here today and be able to speak to the work that we've been doing as a team. And when I talk about the team, I'm not just talking about the people who are working at a division level. I'm talking about the principals, the teachers, the educational assistants, all of the people that work to create a culture and an environment that is representative, that is healthy, that is safe, and that is supportive to all students, not just our Indigenous students, but all students. And so, you know, I want to be able to highlight some of the things that we're specifically doing. Right now, we're right in the middle of our National Truth and Reconciliation Week and the work that we're doing connected to that. So every year last year and this year I can speak to, we would send out a package of resources that teachers can choose to use. But as time has gone on, what we're noticing is that this is just a springboard for teachers. It's like the minimum standard of what they do. There are many teachers who springboard off of those activities and develop really enriching activities in their classrooms that really build out some wonderful experiences for our students. So when we talk about providing that resource, it's not the only thing that's happening. There's beautiful work that's being done in our schools. And so that's kind of the one piece. Another thing that I want to be able to highlight is that we used to have a TP here at central office. We have worked with Lillian Schick to transfer it to Lillian Schick School. And the intent is so that that way we can bring some TP teachings to Lillian Schick School. Mr. Daniel Lehman, who is our Métis learning coach, he actually, that's where he's stationed outside of that school this year. And so he's in a position to be able to really work and bring some of that work into the school. And actually today is the day that they're working on putting that TP up. That's one of the things they're doing. Our Sturgeon Comp TP is going up on Friday. So those are other activities that are blended in a little bit into our Truth and Reconciliation Week and really help with our work in regards to that. You know, I want to highlight a few of our divisional priorities. We have 5 divisional priorities, and in my work with principals and with teachers, I really highlight those divisional priorities because I talk to them about the work that we do should always be reflected through the lens of those priorities. Those priorities are set with a conscious thought process in regards to what does the research tell us is going to bring this work forward. So the first divisional priority speaks to enhancing local community partnerships and intergenerational connections. The predominant local community partnership that we really work with is with Alexander Nation. And we're already starting the work in partnership with them, connected to meetings, with Camilla and with Sturgeon Comp, because we have a lot of shared students. But the bigger piece to that is we actually have a lot of shared experiences that we want to be able to be involved with and really build out and enrich our community and theirs as well. So there's pen pal programs, there's different joint field trips, there's teachers that we're connecting and collaborating with. So that really leverages the work and builds richness into our community as well as theirs. And I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to do that. So that's one thing I want to highlight on that goal. The next goal I want to speak to is our goal number 2 is strengthening community and family enhancement or engagement, sorry. The big piece that I wanted to connect to in regards to this one is we are bringing out, it's called the Legacy of Hope. They have exhibits that you can apply to have come out to your schools. So the exhibit is a museum quality exhibit, and the foundation has been around for 19 years, and their goal is to promote healthy healing and reconciliation, which I think is a beautiful thing. There are, I believe, 19 different exhibits that they've put together, and they're museum quality. And those are the exhibits that you can have come out to schools, businesses, and so on and so forth. Some of the exhibits are more geared towards schools, and those are the ones that we're looking at. We're looking at one that is probably more geared toward high schools. So we're leaning towards Sturgeon Comp at this point as far as our location, but that's still stuff we've got to work out because it depends on which exhibit we get. So that's going to be happening in the month of May. It's going to be a really exciting event. We're going to invite all of our community members. We want to be able to invite our partners. We want to be able to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to walk through and see these beautiful exhibits that are being put on. We're going to have a big opening night ceremony that you'll all be invited to. We will hope to have student leaders be able to walk people through because we want to engage not only our call to action cohorts and our principals, but we really want our students on the forefront of this work to be able to speak to the work that they've done throughout the year and display some of that work and then lead you into the exhibit. So this is a big project for us and something that we're really working with our call to action cohort and with our principals to put on the forefront so that the hope is that, you know, it's an experience that everybody in the community can engage with and to be a part of. And it's a pretty special opportunity because it is a museum quality experience. So which exhibit we're getting, we're still not quite sure yet. We're working on that at this point. This is something that was brought forward last year. It didn't get to go through just for the simple fact of job action and everything that prevented that from going. But we're committed to ensuring that this is something that Sturgeon is able to bring to the forefront this year, because we think that it's a beautiful demonstration of the work that we're doing, especially the piece that I really like about the Legacy of Hope is when they talk about the commitment to healing and reconciliation, right? Healthy reconciliation, all that's kind of written all throughout the Legacy of Hope documentations and foundations. So we're really excited about that partnership we're bringing out this year. Our third goal is talking about promoting Indigenous student academic success and graduation. And that's really about, we really need to kind of bridge the gap between the results of the average Indigenous student and the results of the average student as a whole. There's a lot of research about the gap that's there. So we have to take some really pointed strategies in regards to how to do that. And I've been meeting with principals and talking about the things that they're doing in their schools to address that gap. And there's some great work that's on the forefront there that they're doing individually in their schools. But one of the things I really want to highlight for you is that we as a division have acquired the the Indigenous Canada Atlas, or Indigenous Atlas of Canada. I apologize, I'm starting over the name of that. It is Indigenous Peoples Atlas of Canada. And what this is, it's a resource that is a massive map that is essentially the size of half of the gym floor. And it comes with it a bank of over 200 or 2,000 different like activities or lesson plans that teachers can utilize. So what we want to do with this, because we now own this and we were able to acquire it through ERLC. And so what we want to do with this is we're going to partner with Director Graham's team and curriculum and lean into what are the curriculum pieces that this map can be used for. But further to that, we then want to be able to train our call to action cohort, which is the people that in the schools that I would work directly with, as well as social study teachers, so we can connect it to our curriculum pieces in the new curriculum and bring it out so that schools have an opportunity to have it in their building for a period of time. The social studies teacher and the call to action person will be able to then train the teachers in the school. Our Indigenous Ed coordinator, Ms. Maxine Hildebrand, and Nicole Farwell, our lead teacher of assessment, I think is her curriculum assessment. She will be, they'll be working together to kind of cull through those 2,000 documents to make sure that we can really target our curricular objectives and to make sure that we can ensure that the age appropriate stuff is being presented, because we want this work to be able to leverage in a really effective way and really hit home for our teachers and for our students. So they will be displayed in schools. And I've even encouraged principals, if you have the map and you have a parent council meeting, take them in, show it off. It's a beautiful resource. And there's a lot of research that's gone behind it. There's some really strong foundation in regards to the work and the creation of that map. So we should be putting that out there and being really proud of the thing that this resource that we're bringing forward. So the next school that we're referring to here, or that I'd like to refer to, sorry, I get a little nervous, is fostering safe and representative and healthy school and communities. So it's important that representation is present in every school. And one of the things that we're really wanting to talk about is putting kids in a position to be leaders in the school. And Indigenous students, but other students as well. We want student voice to be on the forefront of what we're doing. And so we're talking with call to action teams about creating student voice and creating student leaders, not only so that they can engage with the map and introduction of the map, but also that they can engage with such things as the Legacy of Hope exhibits and any other kind of activities that are happening in the school, because that brings a level of authenticity that I think is crucial in the work that we do. And so that's a big piece of creating and fostering that safe and representative and healthy school environment, is bringing that student voice to the table and then having that be a part of it. That paired with, we want to be able to, we're working really hard to engage with our parent community as well. We have a cultural liaison, Miss Andrea Dilstra, who specifically, that's the work that she does, is to engage our community members and to ensure that we have the opportunity for that voice to be heard as well, because that really guides our work and lets us know, are we on the right track? Do we need to dial back? You know, are we hitting it where we need to hit it? So as much as you lay out plans, we have to be responsive to and understand where we swerve and where we lean in and so on and so forth. The last goal is driving systematic change through professional development. So I've spoken about how each school has a call to action lead that's present in it. The goal is that when we meet our call to action leads, that those people are able to take the information and the things that happen in our staff meeting or in our meetings into their staff meeting. And we're leveraging a few different things in that location. One of them is going to be the map The other, or the Atlas, sorry. The other one is going to be Legacy of Hope. But we also have events throughout the year. And another thing is my divisional team, being Miss Maxine Hildebrandt, Mr. Daniel Lehman, and Miss Andrea Dilstra, we're actually doing a novel study or a book study on a book. Forgive me that I know I'm not going to get the pronunciation right. It's Waiua, I believe, and it's on around Indigenous pedagogies, and by Joe Chorna. Now, this book was actually brought to me in the CAS session, which is College of Alberta School of Superintendents. And we use that in our work in that session, a 3-day session. There was some beautiful things that came out of that, talking truly about pedagogy and what can we bring into our classroom. So we want to use that as a resource throughout our call to action meetings, but also as a team, so that we have something that we can fall back on as a strong foundation. All right. Thank you. Yes.
Trustee Pequin, then trustee Dwyer.
I don't have a question. I just, great work. And this is like a great report, but all of our schools are doing stuff that's not in this report. Like I know Oak Park last year in combination with parent council, got a TP that all the kids got to work on and put their handprints on. And I feel like they had her for a week in school, like learning. So this is a great report, but it's more, and it's happening daily in all of our schools where we are just promoting inclusion of everything. So yeah, that's just my comments.
Trustee Dwyer.
Great report, and thank you. Just a simple question. I keep seeing that there's a teepee at Camilla, and I'd never seen one. I've seen that about 3 months ago or longer. And it says there's one there today again, and just where's it at?
Sorry. Okay. So the TP at Camilla does need some repairs, and I'm actually in the process of working with Principal Elias in regards to what that's going to look like and the use of that TP, whether we're in a position to be able to erect it. Okay. So I met with him yesterday. We're going to have further conversation with my team in regards to what that would look like, because to use it effectively, we want to make sure that we're it's in good repair and it can be leveraged properly in the school. So just because it's missing poles, right? That's the biggest piece. So it is there and it is on the forefront, and it's definitely the forefront of our conversation.
Great, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Trustee Buga.
Thank you, Chair. I've got a few comments.
The
Hope that's
floor is
okay.
yours.
I wanted to comment on the TP at Four Winds. One of the kind of big shout outs that I heard at school council was they made a choice, the staff made a choice to keep the TP up for the summer. There's always risk. There's not staff on hand. There's risk of vandalism. There's risk of damage, all that kind of thing. Huge success. There were families that were, noted that were coming by to use the TP during the summer months. It was very well respected, which means that lesson and that heart has come through from the schools. The community appreciates it being there, and it was not a target of anything over the summer. So I see that as not just grateful to have that TP at the school, but also the teachings from within the school that bring that out to the community, that it is to be respected. So thank you for that. Also, of course, sitting at the board table, we see a lot of results. We see a lot of statistics. We are data driven, and Sturgeon regularly comes out with our Indigenous student success is far above the Alberta average, but I don't ever see complacency, which is so important, that there is still a gap, and we acknowledge that gap may be smaller than Alberta as a whole, but there's still a gap, and we are still working on that. And I think that that's really important to acknowledge that we are seeing results, but there's work to do. There's always work to do. And again, thank you for, I think I probably said this last time we got this report. Thank you for putting links to everything, because I love to investigate and read what you're reading and understand what's going on. So thanks for sharing those links again.
Thank you.
That's all. I'm done.
Yes, this was a great report for our last meeting. I'm really happy that I can hear your passion as you speak about it. So people who are passionate do passionate things for others. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
8.2 communications report and year in review. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. I will turn this over to the deputy.
Thank you. Also a wonderful report to come and share in front of the board, ties into the reports that communication brings every month to share how we're celebrating our staff and how we're meeting our goals. I just wanted to clarify before I hand it over to the Manager of Marketing Communications. Last year at this time, because the board was continuing, we would have brought forward, you know, the usual month celebration, and then some reflection on how we did on a year, and then new goals, or are we amending goals and whatnot. The team has made the decision that we're going to do almost all of that. We'll celebrate the last month and whatnot, and we will share with you how we've done over the year. But we will launch the new plan for communications with the established board at the upcoming meeting. So just so you know why it looks just slightly different from last year. But as to insights and conversation, we're going to turn it over to the marketing communications manager.
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Lauren Walter. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager. Since this is, I know some of you are have put your name forward to run once again, but since this is for this group, the last meeting we'll have together in this setting, I did want to say thank you very much for your support. I felt extremely supported, and it's been an honor to learn from you and to work alongside you. So with that, I will start with the last month, and then I will get into our year in review. So we had our very first ever communications professional development day, which was a success. It was on Friday, this past Friday, and it was a chance for each school to send their designated communication sort of most responsible person to receive some training on Rally, which is our website provider, Canva as well, to help create some graphics and make things a little easier from a brand standpoint, as well as also introducing the monthly checklist we've created for this year. So I won't go too into the weeds on that, but basically just a way to ensure that things are being posted to the correct platforms and a way for them to check back to see if everything has been touched on that month and needs to be done. And then we also touched on social media in this training. So it was great, and hopefully in years to come, we will be able to continue that as a start to the year. We also put together our division calendar. So basically that is just a public place to put all of our events and our important dates throughout the year. It can be a little bit challenging to gather these dates by school startup because some of these events happen in April, May, June, and the organizations haven't always put forward what they plan for the date itself to actually be. So we were a little more proactive this time around, and we actually called Alberta Ed, called the ATA, the Military Family Resource Center, anybody that we needed to get the correct answer from right away. We were able to connect with them, and so we feel very confident that we were able to give this list to our schools to help them prepare, and that there won't be any major changes, knock on wood. So that's what that is. That was a big item for this month. And then trustee elections was a big one as well. So there are some government requirements as far as communication, putting things in the newspaper to notify about nominations, notify about elections. And then there were also some advertisements we ran just to increase general awareness of the elections taking place, and then making sure that our website content reflects anything that a prospective candidate might need to know, handbooks, working alongside corporate services to ensure we've got all the important deadlines, candidates, all the good things in one place for prospective candidates to learn the process. We had a lot of updates for labor action this month as well. So anytime we received either from a media release that happened not directly to us, but that other boards were commenting on and giving their own communities a heads up on, we were sure to do that as well. And then of course, whenever we received any information from TIBA, that was put out to families and on our website promptly as well, so that parents had ample time to prepare for however the labor action may or may not unfold. And then last but not least was our first edition of the Sturgeon Public Scoop. So information on labor action in there, information on transportation deadlines, and just some feel good kind of startup stories for the year of how things got kicked off and started. And then we have all of the times that we were in the media this past month, as well as upcoming events. So we are in Truth and Reconciliation Week now. And going forward, we've got National Custodian Day on the 2nd, World Teachers Day on the 5th, and then Digital Citizen Day on the 29th. So that is the last month in the communications department. And now I will move to the year in review. So I will just go goal by goal. I'll just give you a quick reminder of what the goal was, and then I'll talk about how it unfolded and how we did in our measures. So our first goal was highlighting staff expertise and excellence. And as everyone in this room well knows, we have so many talented staff that are doing things that are very innovative and always evolving to meet the needs of our students and ensuring that our students are successful. And so we really wanted to marry the concept of entertaining, informative content that people are going to watch with showing off the expertise of our staff and some of the programs that they are running or helping to facilitate running. So hence, we came up with our SBS Knows Best campaign, which was a series of videos. They were interviews, or we would sit down with a staff member. We would go into it, we would talk to them beforehand and just kind of get an idea, even working with our ed services team, to say, hey, who would be a really great person to speak to something like STEAM or robotics or hands-on learning in math. And so we were able to connect with a variety of staff members across the division, all different age groups that they teach, subjects, a really, really great diversity there. And we created a total of 13 videos. And I'm very happy to report that they generated between Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok 195,000 views, which is pretty great. So lots of people got to hear about our talented staff and the programs that they are helping to facilitate to ensure students are successful. The other thing we did, which was unique to this year, we had so many, a total of 7 Edwin Parr nominees, and we took the opportunity to show them off. So we sat down with the admin of each of our nominees to give just a short statement, nothing too crazy, as people's attention spans are not very long, but enough to illustrate why that individual was nominated. And then we layered that with footage of the teachers actually in class with students doing their thing. And it was great. It was nice to read some of the comments even of parents chiming in saying, oh, my child has that person as a teacher, and we're so happy with them. So it was a really good sort of place to give people the opportunity to speak as stakeholders to what they really value about our staff. And so those 7 videos, we had 1 per candidate, nominee, rather, not candidate, received a total of 50,000 views, which we were really excited about. And then as far as measures, you can see them at the bottom there if you've got the report up in front of you, Facebook and Instagram. So our Instagram followers, our hope was in putting out this type of content just to generally increase our followers and our engagement, which we did do, which is great. So our goal was about 15%. Instagram, we had 14.19%. Facebook, we had 20.4%, which put us at an average of 17.29, which is just above our target. So we're really, really pleased with the outcome of that. Our second goal was the consistency in communication and messaging. So our schools do use a variety of different platforms to contact and get a hold of parents, let them know what's going on. Rally, so through their school website, they have their newsletters, social media, so on. And so one of our hopes for this year was to support our schools in getting communication in all of the spots they use, so that no matter what platform as a parent you prefer to check, you can still receive the accurate information and it's there for you. One of our goals in facilitating that was to do school visits. So every week, myself and McKenna that works with me, we would split up, each go to a different school and work with them to support their communication goals. We did do the majority of them. We got done about 3 per school before the labor action commenced, which put a pause on things, but the 3 visits that we did have went really well. And our schools did demonstrate a very strong commitment to communication, but the consistency of all platforms is still a challenge. Our stance on it would be that likely just comfort level. Some of our schools, our staff have really dove into Rally and they're very comfortable with it. Others are more comfortable with the Google Suite or with Microsoft, which is a platform they use for their newsletter. So there is always up-to-date communication, but we're still kind of running into that piece of how do we make sure it's in multiple spots while also respecting the time constraints and the staffing constraints of our schools. So yeah, so we didn't quite get where we wanted to on that one, but we do have some ideas and things that we've actioned already, like our PD day that we had on Friday, to help move that forward in the upcoming year. So that goal will not go anywhere. It'll be on next year's as well until we nail it. Our third one was building staff capacity. And this one went really well. So essentially just making sure that our staff understand the tools that they need in order to put communication out there. Do they know how to use Instagram? Do they know how to use Rally? Do they know all the things, right? So goal number 1 was to meet with all of our schools at the start of the year by the end of September to help them come up with their communication goals. So we would sit down with the admin teams and anyone else who contributes to their communication just to say, hey, what do you want the community to know about your school this year? What are the mission, vision, values that we really want to drive home from your standpoint? So that was a really good place to start because it kind of got the wheels turning and gave them a foundation on which to build. And so we were able to successfully meet with every school before the end of September 2024. And then on top of that, we had our rotational visits, like I mentioned in the previous goal, and we did complete 3 of those before the labor action took place. So I hope, given that our staff did feel very supported, and it was great to see people sort of, as they were learning these things, making it their own and getting creative with it, which is always a good sign. Our 4th goal, this is a big one as well, improving broad public perception. So just a reminder, when you Google one of our schools, our division, any school ever, the first thing you'll see is the Google My Business preview, where it'll tell you the hours and the address and all that good stuff. And one of the things it includes is the reviews. So our goal for this year, because it's the first impression of anyone that's just looking into our schools online, our goal was to make sure that that reflected the actual satisfaction of the people in our schools rather than just having one-off review here and there. And this went really, really, really well. I have outlined here, there's numbers for every school, so I don't want to bore you with all of them, but we had significant growth and more than 10 reviews for all of our schools. And the division also received 84 new reviews, and we were able to go from 2.9 stars to 4.7 stars, which we're really excited about. But we did have some really great growth everywhere except for Port Legal. They only had 1 review to start with, and then we got 2 new reviews, and one of them was 4 stars. So Port Legal went from 5 stars to 4.8, but still very good. So we were really pleased that those stakeholder voices, those parent voices, are now shown in those reviews, and there's so many great things that have been said about the schools within them. So great impression, and also kind of a way to get into the minds of the parents that have children in those respective schools and kind of see all the great things. And then last but not least was improving division-wide communication. So making sure we're putting out a monthly newsletter every month, and also collaborating with departments within central office to make sure that we have everything in there. Because it's very easy as communications, we spend a lot of time looking at digital platforms just to say, hey, that's going on in that school, and that's going on in that school, so on. But we really went out of our way to make sure we connected with multiple departments to say, what do we need our stakeholders to know? And we had a really great success with that. So industry standard was a 40% readership rate. So that's across all different types of industry, private companies, public, about a 40% readership rate when it comes to newsletters. And at the bottom there, you can see that we landed at about a 69.5, which is great. So we're happy that people are putting eyes on it, and hopefully that is leading to more general knowledge of kind of all the work that we're doing at CO and all the things that they need to know. So, and that is all I have for you. Thank you very much.
Questions, comments? Trustee Gibbons? Thank you for your report. I just wanted to share with you and the board at my school council meeting in Gibbons this month, the parents were, I think, overjoyed is an understatement with the social media and the communication, and they feel welcomed as that being a first step. So I wanted to share that with you. So it is making an impact. So
Positive.
Trustee Buga?
Unsurprisingly, I have multiple things to say. Thank you for your report. That was one of the things that I was very keen on of hearing those reports and making sure, things are going the way we want. And it's been fantastic. I think that over the last, few years since we've had a solid marketing department of one or two, we've seen a real improvement in the way that our schools and our division are seen in the community. One comment is the learning centers. I didn't see them on as reviews because they're very digital. I would think that they would probably want to review and be happy to participate in that too. So just a comment to ensure that they are part of that as well. My next comment is we're seeing a lot of uptake from our parents as far as the unplugged movement and moving away from social media. And I personally believe that if we're going to encourage students to stop with social media, parents need to too, because parents often are the ones posting pictures of their kids in the first place. But just to, make sure that our goals maybe focus on increasing in different spaces as opposed to increasing our Facebook and our Twitter, Instagram following. Just going forward to keep that in mind, that what is our goal, not so much a marketing goal, but a societal goal of, do we want to shift? Do we put more priority onto emailed newsletters and websites so that maybe, I don't know. My concern is just that if we're pushing to move away from social media in one aspect and pushing towards social media in another, it creates some conflict in my mind. And then in that same breath, a lot of our school councils, I don't know if any of our school council chairs or maybe through COSC can get some training on what are great messages to include on the website spaces so that they're not totally dependent on a Facebook page, because I know a lot of them strictly send out information through Facebook. Right. But maybe just making sure that our school councils just know what information would be appropriate or what format is easiest so that whoever manages our school council spaces, because all of our websites have them, or I think all of them do, making sure that that's the most efficient way to upload information or those types of plans. It would just struck my mind. But thank you very much for your report again.
Trustee Murray Elliott?
Ms. Walter, hearing about your great videos almost, but not quite, makes me want to join a social media platform. But I'm not going to.
That's good.
But you're doing a great job, honestly. It was brilliant to come into the schools and talk to our parent councils and remind them to do Google reviews, because we have a lot of supporters there. And that is, when you can get the word out from that, it is really successful, as we have seen. So that was wonderful. And I just want to remind you of my favorite ever project that you did, which was when you first started, which was the welcome back video that you shot drones, and the Sturgeon Heights admin leaders were on the roof and everyone was so jealous. I love it. Just keep up the great work.
Superintendent Warren?
Yes, I would just like to follow up because Trustee Buga's comment is a good one, and communications, we've been working, Debbie and I, to talk about this. So the thing about Unplugged and our social media, we are about children, and any of the platforms for social media, the purpose is marketing, and the marketing is to adults. And so this is why, and thank you, because we are being very intentional, because even when we talk about technology, when Unplugged comes out, people aren't delving into the data and understanding. And then again, people are making decisions that might be, oh, we're just going to throw out all devices. And so it's not about that. Our job is to protect children. We still have to market. We are in competition. We are a public school division, and we are very much about choice and competition, and we do need to showcase the great things we're doing in our division. So from the beginning, when that data came out, and including now the additional information that has come out from the privacy commissioner about TikTok, what's come out for children, is that we do have to protect kids. That's our job. And we need to educate parents so that they understand. And as we look at our marketing, that has been a very big focus that we're talking about that. So how are we promoting? But again, we're not promoting to children. We are promoting of the great work we're doing in our schools, but there has to be a balance. And we have to make sure as we're talking about it, we talk about it as one, because we also want our staff, et cetera, to be role models. And so little things like, and I can speak, and I know Mr. Conrad can speak about this too, when you were a principal back in a school and when you're first trying to change the narrative or to promote your school, the great things happening, you tell children what you're doing. If your cell phone is out to take a picture, you say to them, my phone is out because I'm taking a photo of the great learning that is happening. And that's how we're good role models for children. And so that's all what we've been doing. And thank you for calling that out, Trustee Bucca, because it is very important because it goes hand in hand, because all of this is new. And so how do we navigate it in an education setting?
Trustee Peckman?
I'm the opposite of unplugged. So I like my social media and I love when I see like athletes for one school. I can hop onto any other social media platform. So if I see it on Facebook, when I go onto Instagram, there's Gibbons, there's like the coordinated efforts from you that the same information is being sent out at all of the schools, right? Like athlete showcases were probably my favorites, right? Just because it's our students and I love that. So it's just the consistency that when one school is doing it, all of the schools are doing it. So it's not just one school that's great at it. So I really appreciate the divisional approach to those with the individualized schools.
I have a specific accolade for you and a general. So specifically, and I shared this with the board in committee of the whole earlier, but for those listening online, Guthrie School often has a low enrollment. It's decreased repeatedly, like consistently for the last 5 years. And it's made it hard to operate a school when you cannot count on enrollment numbers. I was at the Guthrie Parent Council earlier this week, and we had a tentative update on numbers. And thanks to the marketing campaigns that were directly a result of your team, the numbers at Guthrie have gone up significantly this year over previous years. And more than that, a number of parent council members are new to the school as a result of your marketing campaigns. And not only did they say unprovoked how much they love the school, but how much they wish they had known about Guthrie School earlier. So they wanted me to know, and thereby you to know, how appreciative they were of your efforts.
Thank you.
And to keep it up, because they know more people who want to come. They just don't know how to get there. My general comment to you is 8 years ago when I started this job, one of the very first presentations that I was exposed to was Brian Woodlands out of Peel board in Ontario. It's the largest board in the country, actually. And his message to trustees was, shout it from the rooftops. Nobody knows how awesome you are unless somebody's telling them how awesome you are. And from that moment on, I was like, we need to do this. Like, get on it. I don't know how we do it, but somebody has to take it over. And for many years, we did our best, but we were floundering. And so when the opportunity came to bring on a dedicated person to start coordinating this information, and it wasn't just from the board or from central office, it was from the division as a whole, it was a debated topic whether we should have somebody or not, and I'm glad we do. I'm glad that the board came together and said, yes, we do. I'm also grateful that it was you, because I think that you are in touch enough with social media, which I think was our problem before, to actually communicate the information out in the right, through the right channels. But you've also brought the right information. So it's not just about the channels that we communicate through, it's about what we're communicating. I finally feel like there is enough historical data to say that this has been overwhelmingly successful. And so regardless of where we all end up in a month or two, I think that this is one of the other pieces that I think was a huge success on the board's part to bring you on to start this process. And I hope that it continues on and on and on and on. My long-winded way of saying thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much.
Okay, let's move on to the superintendent's report 8.3.
Thank you, Chair. As provided monthly is my superintendent report. So again, as per Ministerial Order 003/2020, which is the Superintendent Leadership Quality Standard, it applies to all superintendent and I must meet that. So it is based on that. But as per feedback on my evaluation, which was presented this past February 12th, 2025, there were 3 goals that were set. So again, the report also reports back on the goals provided as information.
Questions, comments? Trustee Buga?
Thank you. As always, this is a huge report. I mean, it's covering most of the summer months as well. There's been a lot going on, and I just want to acknowledge how many times there has been communication with government, whether it's been, we got a last minute update to the funding manual late August, which is a real challenge when we pass our budget back in March. We've had ministerial updates. We've had updates to the Education Act. We've had communication regarding, we've had 2 school announcements in the last year that we're waiting to make sure that the ball is rolling and nothing's getting forgotten. And just the number, I mean, there's been a lot happening within the division, obviously, as there always is, as is your role, but those communications back up chain to government, making sure that we're compliant, making sure that we're, you know, following the rules brought down from the education minister, as well as supporting our students. That's been a lot. So that comes through quite clearly in your report, as well as lots of really great things, making sure teachers are trained and ready for this new school year. So thank you for sharing all of that. I know that the report itself takes time as well. Appreciate it.
Other comments? Seeing none. As usual, Trustee Buga said most of what I was going to say anyway, so thank you for that. Moving on to 8.4 Administrative Procedure 200 Process of Policy Work. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. As indicated earlier, when the board was discussing your policy for the process for policy work, because policies are the board's and they belong to the board, that now this administrative procedure is rescinded and all of the actual operational procedures around working through for initiating or revising, implementing policies, and including stakeholder engagement and accountability reporting has now been added to the policy. So that rendered this AP redundant, so it will now be rescinded.
Questions, comments? Seeing none, moving to 8.5 Administrative Procedure 435 Employee Expense Claims and Reimbursement. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. I will turn it over to the Associate Superintendent, Corporate Services.
Thank you, Superintendent. Associate Superintendent Corporate Service, Sean Nicholson. So this AP has been updated for a few things. Just over my, coming out of my first year here, I guess. There's something going on, I swear. Thank you. Just coming, obviously, I'm coming into my second year. I guess December will be my second year, but I've just gone through this AP and tried to provide a little bit more clarity on things. Fiscal responsibility is important, especially with kind of the things that have brought forward and what we're moving towards. So through this AP, I've done some updates to try to provide that clarity, as well as to simplify some processes as well too, to make sure it's not extremely cumbersome and difficult to follow as well too. So I will just highlight a few things in here. We have highlighted that if an individual has a P card, they should be using that P card because we get a rebate. It's a Visa, Division Visa card, sorry. I have a bad habit of saying P card, and nobody in the division knows what a P card is, but it's a division Visa card, and just that's because we get a rebate on that, which helps support kind of my financial situation. So just outlining that. As well as that, it is a responsibility to ensure that we're not double claiming things on our Visa and our employee expenses, as well as just highlighting reference to our purchasing authority and procedure as well too for when you're making purchases. There's a little section here about purchasing meals and what we require when hosting for group meetings or PDs or stuff like that. Some clarity was provided. It was very complicated before about when people need to submit and how soon. So we have just clarified that to make it a little bit easier to understand. And just after the end of the month, you have to submit within 30 days. Otherwise, there are some other checks and balances in place to make sure we are submitting things timely and regularly. Besides that, this was also updated for the rate change as issued by the government of Alberta over the summer to outline that, as well as the per diem rates would have been shifted. We have also updated the mileage chart just to include that we do require, if it's not on the mileage chart, we require a Google map to outline the distance you have traveled just for record keeping purposes, so that, you know, if there's a question later down the road, it is easy for us to reference, as well as that anything less than 10 kilometers will not be eligible for claiming. We were have some very small kilometers being claimed, and just as part of the GOA policy as well too, there's kind of a minimum you can claim. Then in addition to that, we also updated, we provided some clarity around fuel purchases as well too. And then we updated the mileage expense form as well too, or the expense reimbursement form as well too. It's a lot, just from feedback from people, it's a lot more cleaner and easier to use in this format. Any questions?
Seeing none, I think it looks good. Thank you. 8.6 Administrative Procedure 464 fees. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. I will turn it over to the Associate Superintendent, Corporate Services.
Thank you, Superintendent. This one is much easier. The main thing we changed is we had just removed school of choice from the fees that cannot be, not school of choice from the fees that cannot be waived, mainly because of our specialized programming. Some students who are required to go to like CASA and things like that previously could not have that fee waived because it was an ineligible fee to be waived. And as long as we are getting the supporting documents to show that there's financial distress there, we feel it's in the benefit of our students to waive that fee and get them those supports. So that's the main change in that one.
Trustee Buga.
Thank you, Chair. I assume because you guys are always on top of everything, but I know that we have a policy that that kind of coordinates with the AP regarding fees, just to make sure that the policy doesn't conflict where it comes to that program of choice. I assume that that's been looked at. Good.
Double check.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other comments? All right, thank you. 8.7 Administrative Procedure 710 Staff Personal Mobile Use. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. And this is very timely after Trustees Buga's comment about our professional use of any personal devices in schools. So our APs are reviewed on a regular basis. This AP does fall under human resources, but the AP has been updated to ensure that if any personal device, and that's why we changed it from cell phone because there's other devices, that they are being used for work related when at work. And again, we want to be role models to our students, and our job is responsibility when we're on the job is the job. So that AP has been updated to make sure that it is more robust that way.
Questions, comments regarding AP 710? All right, seeing none. Administrative procedure 732, SPS employees seeking or elected to public office. Superintendent Warren.
Thank you, Chair. So again, this AP, we wanted to ensure that it was also updated, being a year of an election, but to ensure that it aligns with the Local Authorities Election Act. So there's minor changes, and the new section on trustee elections has been added to better outline the expectations.
Questions, comments regarding policy 732? I would just say I appreciate the clarity. All right, thank you so much. Reports from trustees and standing committees. Chair's report has been submitted, although I did not get to it fast enough, and there's 2 corrections, actually 4 corrections. The meeting for the board chair, superintendent, and ministerial engagement on September 29th has been postponed. Postponed until, well, I'm not exactly sure when. There is added to mine for later this week is a TIBA engagement session on September 25th and another TIBA engagement session on September 29th. Other than that, I don't have much to add. I would say that Guthrie School Council was the highlight for this month. Trustee Murray Elliott, would you like to start us off on the trustee reports?
Yes, my trustee report was submitted, but I did miss one item, which was last evening. I attended school council at Bon Accord Bax. I knew Cindy would have been sad and disappointed not to attend, so I went to represent the board. It was great to see Mr. Ohm, formerly of Sturgeon Heights, in his new role as principal there. They had an amazing turnout of parents. There were at least 12 in the room and more online. Very positive, dedicated group. It was fantastic, very engaged. And I would have to say most of the discussion centered around playgrounds, and that's really nothing to do with the board, but that seemed to be their concern. My highlight, I guess, would be my Sturgeon Heights School Council meeting and the welcome back at Sturgeon Heights, the barbecue. But the Sturgeon Heights School meeting, very positive again, nice group, nothing really new there. Class sizes reared its head, but I think their understanding of how and the way admin has set things up, it sounds like it's working out pretty well. So.
Trustee Dwyer?
Not much to report. The welcome back went very well at Camilla, and they had a tea at the colony, which went good. They had quite a few parents come to that actually, and they're still looking for a president and vice president which is very unusual for Camilla. So, but there is some people interested in talking about putting their name forward at this time.
Trustee Gibbons?
Thank you, Chair. My report is attached, and my highlight would be on the September 9th, the Meet the Community Night at Gibbons. It's always a highlight for me to interact with the community. And I wanted to give a shout out to the superintendent, senior admin, especially in the area of, curriculum and at Ed Services. I had a grandparent come up to me that was very thankful for the programming that is offered through Sturgeon Public Schools, and was grateful because she got to see her grandsons that she was raising succeed and feel inclusive. So we direct you with, we want to ensure we have safe, caring, and inclusive environments and excellence in teaching. And again, you knock it out of the park. So.
Trustee Puga?
Thank you. I did my report late, so I totally forgot that I did attend the open house at Four Winds and at MPS, but that was ages ago, it seems, at the end of August, beginning of September. One of my highlights at Four Winds, their school council, they are running a book club with the Anxious Generation as part of the Unplugged movement. It was also brought up by the parents at MPS School Council, so I thought that was pretty exciting. I attended the ASBA Zone 2-3 meeting last Friday. It's interesting to see there's a lot of challenges right now as far as the provincial entity of Alberta Education and how the role of trustee is fitting, and there's a lot going on even across Canada in those spaces. So a lot of really good conversation that I will speak more about in camera, as those are closed sessions at Zone 2-3. I'll be running, maybe I won't be running, but I'm going to cheer on the kids at the Terry Fox Run at MPS on Thursday and attend the Learning Center Meet the Teacher Night on Thursday night. And the September 29th, there was supposed to be a board chair and superintendent session with Alberta Education. That has been postponed, as the chair had mentioned, but they believe that there's still going to be a short 1 hour period of opportunity to meet with the education minister. I'm not sure how fruitful that will be, seeing the change in format from a full day to an hour, but I hope to attend that to see what happens. Unfortunately, I'm not available. We got the invitation from Alexander First Nation to join them in their Truth and Reconciliation Walk on Friday. I've attended, I think, everyone so far, and I'm disappointed that I'm not able to attend this year, but I will be attending the Sturgeon County Truth and Reconciliation event on September 29th, Monday evening at Cardiff Hall. They're doing a screening of a film there if anybody's interested in joining. That's all.
Trustee Pequin?
Behind the scenes shout out to Crystal that when you submit your report late, she gets it onto the agenda like super great. Consistently for the last 4 years. Shout out to Crystal. Mine has been submitted, like everybody else. Meet the teachers and welcome back. I'm just gonna stand between us and lunch for a second. With this being my last meeting as a trustee, I just want to take a minute to say thank you. Serving Sturgeon Public Schools for the past 8 years has truly been an honor. It hasn't always been easy, and there's been challenges along the way, but through it all, I've seen how strong this division is. The dedication of our staff, our admin, the resilience of our students, and the commitment of our communities have made all of the difference. Looking back, the hard times have only made me more proud of what we've accomplished together. It's been a privilege to be a part of this journey, and I'll always be grateful for the trust and the support that I've received as a trustee.
Good choice going last. Thank you for that. Trustee Murray Elliott.
Quick word of advice to Stacy. Last time I did the Terry Fox run, I thought I would run with a grade 1 because how fast can they run? They run really fast.
Noted. We're just going to finish up with the last bit of the business here today. Before we go in camera, I think we can get through it before lunch, so bear with us. 9.2.1, the 2024-2025 work plan. I will hand this over to Trustee Buga.
Thank you, Chair. We've been working through our strategic plan as we always do. We create these at our organizational meeting in September, October each year. And I wanted to bring this forward public facing so that as a reminder, especially for outgoing trustees, to be proud of the work that we've done, going through the list of all of the items. And I know that this is a fraction of what was actually accomplished by trustees. I know that we are all out in our communities and making connections all the time. So having this front facing, I thought was really important to highlight what we've been working on and encourage the next board. I know we have, as Trustee Murray Elliott mentioned, there's a few online that will be sitting in these seats going forward. There's been a lot of phenomenal work that we've started that hasn't been completed, and I hope that some of those initiatives continue moving forward. So everything is there. And yeah, I will again say thank you to outgoing trustees for all of your dedication. I apologize. Alberta School Board Association does recognize all trustees who serve 2 terms or more. Due to no excuses, we failed to meet the deadline to submit your names for certificate recognition. I know Janine is very upset. But my heart goes out to everybody serving 2 terms or more. You are to be recognized by the province, and you deserve that recognition for the dedication and the service that you've put into supporting students. As we've often discussed, this can be a thankless job. We hear a lot of complaints and we hear a lot of things that we actually are not in charge of as they're operational. But the work that you do and the integrity that you bring to this table is critical to keeping student success happening. As we've seen kind of from some of our reports that have brought to us today, these presentations, they happen because the board chose to make them happen. We chose to have marketing department. We choose to prioritize Indigenous education and success. And that comes from this table right here. So please take a look at the work plan, review it, and be proud of what we have done, and look forward to the next board's work as well. Thanks.
9.3, Committee of the Whole report. Therefore, your review. Reports from special committees, task groups, the Alberta School Boards Association representative. Do we have anything to report, Trustee Gibbons?
I'm actually going to hand it over to Trustee Buga. I took off traveling to Calgary.
Okay. All right.
From Zone 2-3, not a lot to report that is public. We are gearing up for the FGM coming up in November, and they have put forward their proposed budgets and that kind of thing. So the usual timed processes through ASBA.
10.2, Public School Boards Association of Alberta representative, Trustee Murray Elliott. Anything to report?
Nothing to report. I believe their AGM is in November.
10.3, Rotary report, Trustee Dwyer.
Nothing new to report.
10.4, Chamber of Commerce meetings. As mentioned at the last meeting, St. Albert Chamber of Commerce had their meeting on the 10th, which was our committee of the whole. They did have a good presentation. So unfortunately we weren't there. Anybody else attend chamber meetings? 10.5 Community Service Advisory Board. I don't believe we have a report from them. No unfinished business. 12 comments and question period. I'd like to acknowledge first that we have joining us today the new ATA local president, David McIntyre. Welcome to the boardroom. Would you like to say a few words? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me today. Got a sick baby and sick wife at home, so wanted to make sure I'm not making a sick board. Yeah, no, I'm a grade 5 teacher at Four Winds and yeah, the new local ATA president. So I'm really looking forward to working with you all and maintaining a strong and positive relationship between the local and between the board. It's really exciting to see all the progress and the work that's being done in here. And so yeah, very excited for the future together. So thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us. Did we receive any questions?
No, there was none. as it was
Nothing? Okay. Then I would ask for a motion to go in camera, please. We will be coming out of camera. I would hate to guess when. I would think 1:30 would be a good time to start waiting for us to come back out. There will be lunch in between. Motion to go in camera, please. Trustee Pequin, all in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you to those who waited online. We've come out of camera to make a motion that the Board of Trustees conduct a formal evaluation of the superintendent for the 2025-2026 school year in accordance with the superintendent's employment contract and board policy. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Can I request a motion to go in camera, please? Yes.
I just want to confirm that a letter will be sent in writing to the superintendent of said motion that you just did.
Yes, in accordance with the superintendent's employment contract and board policy.
Thank you.
I'm seeking a motion to go back in camera, please. Trustee Pequin, thank you. We have not conducted our full in-camera agenda, but in the interest of time for Trustee Dwyer, as he's has to recuse himself, we came to do this with the full board's participation. And we will now go back in camera to finish our agenda.